Hello everyone and welcome to this participant information webinar for the Murray-Darling Basin Leadership Program. I'm Joran Lorenzen, I'm the Director of Impact for the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation, and I'm going to take you through this over the next 20 to 25 minutes. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that you're all watching this from today and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. What we're going to be going through today is a short section for those of you who don't know much about the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation, about who we are and what we do. And then we'll jump into the Murray-Darling Basin Leadership Program. We'll talk about what the program is, why it exists, who it's for, when and where it's happening, what you could take away, and then how you can get involved. And we'll kick off with who we are and what we do here at the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation. So we are a leadership development organisation that really is about creating social, economic and community impact through enabling and empowering people, relationships, networks and systems capability. We've been doing this for 34 years as a national not-for-profit. And in those 34 years, we've delivered over 300 leadership programs, workshops, and initiatives. And most well known might be our Australian Rural Leadership Program, that is the flagship program, and also some of our place-based work, particularly under the Future Drought Fund that we've delivered across the country. We've got just over 3,000 program alumni, so people who've done a week-long or more leadership program, and almost 3,000 workshop participants who've done the shorter 2-day workshops and initiatives. And some of those were the same people, so we sit at around about 5,000 people who have worked with us over the last 30 years. Our values are that we see leadership as a practice, not a title, and we value diverse perspectives. We challenge entrenched ideas. That's really important to us, as is practicing lifelong learning, mobilizing collective action, and learning with and from First Nations cultures and knowledge. And a little bit about how we work. So we predominantly work face-to-face. Most of our programs are mostly face-to-face with a few online components. And we're also starting to have a few online offerings and webinars through our network that we'll talk about in a little bit. We use experienced facilitators who know how to hold space in a room. So we're not a classroom PowerPoint style training organization. We practice experiential learning, which involves getting you as participants into a room or also outside into a space together and getting you ever so slightly uncomfortable into what we know is the learning zone. And we use, for example, uncertainty as a tool to bring out some of that discomfort, and that exactly mimics what you would experience as well in leadership, where you don't always know what's around the corner and you have to adapt as it happens. What's really important, though, is that while we do create that discomfort in leadership in the real world, that can be really tricky and that can sometimes feel unsafe. The really important thing is that in our programs, we want to create a really safe space for everyone to sit in some of that discomfort and learn and be in that learning zone with the group. So creating a safe space is a really important aspect of our work. A quick overview of our programs and services. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. We've got a suite of national core programs that you can find more information on our website about. We've got a suite of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander leadership programs that we've delivered for the last 10 or so years. We've more recently done a lot of work in place and space-based leadership development through drought resilience, drought preparedness, community leadership, disaster, bushfire recovery, and leadership action initiatives. We've done one in the creative arts sector. So we've really worked across all different types of sectors and all the different industries that exist in rural, regional, and remote Australian communities. We also run a selection of workshops and offer services, simply like leadership facilitation, the action initiative I already mentioned, and we can also do bespoke leadership sessions and programs. A little bit about our alumni, just for your interest. We have alumni in any particular industry that you can think of. with a very strong dominance in agriculture, and that is simply based on our history, that we started as an organization working a lot with research corporations and industries, and that continues to this day. So that therefore the agriculture number of our alumni is quite strong, and obviously also lots of people in rural, regional, and remote communities are in the agriculture industry. We have a diversity in our participants. That's really in our alumni, that's important. So we've got a relatively even split of genders, men and women participating, slightly more women than men. We've got alumni all over the country, and you can see there in the little pie chart here where they come from, and also work with people of all different ages. Another important part, so our alumni network, obviously, I said 5,000 people all over the country, that we also have at our fingertips. So in our Australian Rural Leaders Hub, that's available as a mobile app, we've got just over 2,000 members and about 480 of them active at the moment, that guide your experience throughout a program, and that also has lots of resources for continuous learning and connection. And we're also in the process of opening this up for stakeholders and others interested. So just really good to know about and to keep an eye on. And at the end of this, I'll share with you too that you could join a group there to stay on track with our Basin program. Very quickly, our leadership practices that all of our programs are based on are these 6: authenticity, awareness, adaptation, affiliation, advocacy, and action. And so that's basically our practices, our values and leadership. So authenticity, living your values and forming genuine connections and showing up authentically. Awareness, that understanding of yourself, but also understanding of others and systems around you and how they operate, so you can influence them and modify yourself and your own behaviors, regulate your emotions to achieve the outcome for the greater good and to move the group forward, or the group that you're leading forward. Adaptation, really being responsive to changing contexts and also being open to different perspectives, so that you can, while you have your own opinion, for example, you are able to talk to 2 other people who have 2 completely different opinions, and you're able to hold space and possibility for all of those perspectives and opinions at that particular point in time. You're not in a position where yours is right and the other one is wrong. You're able to sort of distance that and hold space for it. Affiliation, so that's about aligning with others and connection, and knowing that it's much better to work with others and go together than alone. Advocacy, so making a commitment to take action or an initiative that might also require some risk taking, just to get from that what exists now to what could be. So that's about that, setting a goal or having a vision for leadership and getting from A to B or A to Z or whatever it ends up being. And action, so we have a bias towards action, of influencing and persistently mobilizing others and for a purpose beyond yourself. So that's really important for us as well, is that we don't look at leadership as something that benefits the one person, the leader who has the title and the role and gains everything. When we look at leadership, we look at how can we help others see what's possible and work with others and collectively get to the state that we want to be in, or that we want the organization to be in, or the community to be in. All right, now we're going to get into the Murray-Darling Basin Leadership Program. We're going to get into what the program is and why it exists. So the Murray-Darling Basin is, as you all know, it's one of the most complex operating environments in Australia. It's really central to food production and many people's livelihoods. And the Murray-Darling Basin Leadership Program basically recognizes that an investment in activating people across different geographies, sectors, and backgrounds is needed to build engagement, knowledge sharing, and dialogue, and build stronger collaborative leadership networks. And the final outcome, I guess, is to come to a point where within the basin's water resources are managed sustainably, efficiently, and equitably, and that knowledge and information about the water resources and water-dependent ecosystems is shared, and that Indigenous communities are involved in the use of water management and water resources, and that the Australian community is engaged and educated on the importance and the condition and management of the basin's water resources as well. So at a really high level, that's what it's about. The program is supported through funding from the Murray-Darling Basin Authority and offers 72 people across 3 cohorts the opportunity to participate. Now, it's really important to say what the program is not. It's not a conference, it's not a policy briefing, it's not a training course with formal accreditation, and it also isn't an information forum where the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation comes in claiming that we know all of the challenges or are bringing solutions for specific challenges. All of that knowledge sits with the participants in this program and in the cohort, and that's what we'll be looking at bringing out as we work with you in the program. Now, who's the program for? The program is, of course, for people who live and work or lead in the Murray-Darling Basin, and also, importantly, those who are ready to invest in their own leadership development alongside others. So if you have a connection to the basin and that's meaningful and current, and that could be through a professional role, through community involvement or lived experience, and if you can articulate how your work or some of your activities and your connection to the basin relates to the water resources, ecosystems, or communities, then that ticks one box. You have to some degree, have leadership capacity or developmental readiness, as we call it. So that means that you might already be leading within your context. That could be formally, so you could have the title or role of a manager or leader, or you could also lead informally, and you could be emerging as well as established. So that means you could have been in leadership for many years, or you also could have only just started with leadership, or just, started a small initiative in your community that you've led or that you've put forward and that you're wanting to grow. All of that is emerging leadership. So don't be afraid and think that you're not right for it. Put your foot forward, even if you think that you might not be quite there. That's really important here, because we often underestimate that we are already leading. So we often think, oh, I'm not leading, I'm not a leader, I don't do leadership. And the reality is we often find out that people actually do. So put your hat in the ring and back yourself on that one. What's important is that you think about how your participation can build on that existing capacity and that what you're currently doing, and whether you're willing to or have the intention to engage with people that have different perspectives than you, and then go back and take what you've learned into your context, whether that's your workplace or your community or your organization. The next part is the potential for cross-sector collaboration. So you don't have to already operate across or between different sectors and communities. You can also just have the intention to do so. Maybe you're not quite sure how to go about it, but you would really like to talk to people from other sectors, other regions in the basin. And if you can articulate, so have a think about how you could articulate how you will contribute to and benefit from a collaborative network of basin leaders. It doesn't have to be final. You might work it out as you're writing the application. You might not think about it beforehand, and writing the application is actually what gets you to think. So don't be afraid to throw your hat in the ring there. And the next part is a commitment to knowledge sharing. So you either already have a track record of that, or you intend to share the knowledge and the learning with your community. And you can identify some opportunities that to apply some of the things that you might learn on the program within your networks. And then lastly, every program, every cohort, we're looking at diversity for it. So we're looking for a mix of emerging and established leaders from different backgrounds, ages, sectors, culture, gender, different regions, and more. So that diversity is really, really critical for us, because we do not want to get 24 people who think the same, come from the same place, in the same room together. That is not the purpose of this program. The purpose is really to have that crossover and collaboration, and talking to people that you may not always talk to. Now we'll come to the next part, which is when and where it's happening. And to talk about this, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the structure of each cohort as well. So like I said, there are 3 cohorts. The first one starts on the 20th of July and is in Moree. The second session of all of the cohorts is in Canberra, and the first session is in the basin itself. And so for cohort 1, that's in Moree. For cohort 2, that's in Wagga Wagga. And cohort 3, that's in Mildura. And cohort 2 doesn't start till February next year, and then cohort 3 not till April next year. Those 2 sessions are in person and immersive. They're 5 days long. And the first session in the basin focuses on really high-level group forming, self-reflection, understanding challenges from diverse perspectives within the group. And then the second session is around strategic thinking, spheres of influence, and network leadership. And in between those 2, you also have group coaching that's delivered virtually to help you move along, iron out any questions that you have along the way, or to add on any additional learning that you might identify you need. And you'll also set up an initiative within your group that is practical and that you can implement, that is collaborative. And alongside all of this, all of the cohorts and across the whole time frame, you've got the opportunity to connect and share insights across the cohorts and also across program stakeholders, your networks, and the broader RLF network that you'll have access to virtually at least. All of the elements are, I've said this before, safe and inclusive for open dialogue, feedback, and reflection. And also, all of our learning is always flexible to a degree to accommodate for the group's learning needs. Now, we'll jump on to what you can take away from your experience in this program if you participate. So this is obviously not set in stone because everyone's different and everyone takes something different away. But immediately after, you could expect that you'd have a level of increased self-awareness, both as an individual level and also how you show up within groups, processes, and systems, and increased ability to listen and hold different perspectives. So that's about listening to all the different perspectives in the room. A deeper understanding of the basin opportunities, capacity, and challenges from all those different perspectives, and feeling more confident to lead in really complex and uncertain environments. You can also expect to have a trusted network for direct and constructive conversations within that cohort that you've just met, and really feel empowered to work collaboratively or work more collaboratively across sectors, regions, and systems. You'll be contributing to the initiative, and you have access to the ARLF alumni network. Now, after a while, and these after a while changes, we call them more practice changes. This is you picking up some of the tools and maybe changing some of your behavior over time or seeing things differently. And that is about using adaptive strategy to navigate complexity in your own context, acting beyond self and sectoral interests when addressing basin issues. So because you've heard what it's like for someone else from a completely different point of view, you might be able to see that better or differently, and the ability to have difficult conversations whilst maintaining constructive relationships, and obviously ongoing connection for cross-sector initiatives amongst the different cohorts. And then if you think about the bigger picture that you can contribute to in the longer term by being part of this leadership network, is to really, again, improve trust and dialogue between sectors and communities, and a growing network of leaders that influences basin conversations and decisions. And importantly, a stronger culture of collaborative leadership across the basin. So more knowledge sharing, learning, and engagement. And also you're contributing to engaging and educating Australian communities on the importance of the basin and the water resources. Now we'll talk about how you can get involved. And obviously, the most direct level of involvement is to apply for the program, put your hand up to be in one of the 3 cohorts. To do that, you head to the website, complete the registration form. After that, you'll be sent an email with the link to the application form. So if you hop onto that link, complete the application form, you can select a cohort preference there. Our team might then give you a quick call just to ask a few questions and chat about your application, make sure that your cohort preference is the right one. We might offer you a space in a different cohort because we're trying to put that together, and we think that your voice would be really valuable in that group. And then once you're accepted, you complete the onboarding paperwork. And so at the moment, the applications for cohort 1 close on the 7th of June, and you would know by the 10th, you'd be notified whether you're accepted into that. And if you're not accepted into the first one, you may or may not be accepted into the second or third. And we will be starting to fill them right from the get-go, but obviously you'll have a little bit more time. Depends on how many applications we get by then. Got a quick overview of the application questions here, because I know a lot of participants or applicants will always ask and want to know what's asked of them there. So it's your contact details, demographic questions, your connection to the basin, the leadership stage that you're at, your preferred cohort, and then a couple of questions around your suitability and what you see your role could be in this program. So we'll ask you to reflect on how you navigate complexity. So you'll have to think about a situation where you have done that and what you've learned from it, and basically just talk about it, write a few sentences about it, write a paragraph or two. We'll ask you what belief or assumptions you've changed your mind about and what led to that change of mind. And we'll ask you about the tensions and challenges that you see in the basin and how you navigate them. We'll also ask you what you hope to see differently in the basin in 5 to 10 years and how you can contribute to that and who would benefit from your contribution. And then at the end, there's just a short video to introduce yourself. So that shouldn't take so long. You might take a little bit of time to prepare for and think about what your answers are to those long form text questions. But overall, it shouldn't take too long. And if you need assistance with completing the form at all, you can email us or call us and book a time with one of our team to get help with that. And you can find the contact details off the top of the application form, and we'll also have them at the end of this slideshow. And obviously, if it's not for you and you don't want to apply, we highly encourage you and hope that you would share the opportunity with your network and maybe follow along. So to do that, you can download the stakeholder kit from the program website or reach out to our team to get the stakeholder kit, share this webinar, share a link to the website, share our social media posts with people who you think should be part of this program. And then also join the stakeholder group and our virtual network that we're planning on setting up. So we'll share some more information with you about that a little later. Now, you'll probably have some questions because I haven't gone through everything. I'm going to go through the frequently asked questions here. And then for those of you who are watching the live session, we'll have a live Q&A following that. So first up again, when do applications close? They close on the 7th of June. We will obviously initially want to fill the first cohort, so 24 participants for the first one, and start filling the second and the third. You will be offered a place by the 10th of June for the first cohort, and then we'll let you know about the second and third cohort a little bit later. How do the preferences work? So we'll obviously try to put you in the cohort of your choice, but we may offer you a place in another cohort to either fill it or to achieve that diversity. And we'll have a conversation with you about this, though. It's a two-way street and a two-way conversation. What does the program cost? So the program it's free to participate, including the accommodation for the 5-day sessions. You do need to book and pay for your travel to those in-person sessions, and you'll be reimbursed up to $1,000 per session for travel to that. So the amount that you have to pay for travel to get there should be limited, if anything at all. You'll submit the reimbursement claim for that after the session and after you've attended the session. If you have difficulty funding that travel before the session, you can ask about our hardship policy. And if you need help with incidentals around the program, if you are experiencing financial hardship, reach out to our team and we can then have a conversation about that. If you're nervous about experiential learning and the discomfort part, don't be. Although you can be, it's very normal to feel a little nervous. A lot of people are. All I can say is that our facilitators are very experienced and intuitive about managing discomfort in the group. And we also the satisfaction and the transformation that people get out of our programs and what they say afterwards about it speaks for itself, to say that for most people it is a very positive and life-changing experience that they really enjoy, and it's different to anything they've experienced before in other training sessions. So be bold, back yourself, and go and give it a go. What initiatives will be there? So that is really going to be up to the group and the cohort. We may have a few topics to select from for initiatives, but ultimately it's, as the group within your cohort, it's up to you to design and implement what is important to the group, because you are the knowledge holders of that particular, of the region and your areas in the basin and the challenges. So yeah. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. If you do have further questions, email our programs team or give us a call. And if you're around for the live webinar, the live Q&A coming up, then I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you. Bye.